sees the memes of production, and the like and subscribe button. Trust me, Hitler didn't have a single original thought in his entire life, okay? He took existing biases and he played them up. It's like Trump. Trump didn't invent anti-immigrant sentiment. If you don't think Trump invented anti-immigrant sentiment, why would you assume, like, okay, like, use a parallel. Do you think that if Trump was never born, Republicans would not themselves have eventually settled on like a populist, ultra right-wing, xenophobic, anti-immigrant? Like, do you think Trump created this? Trump might have been the guy they rallied around, but say like Ted Cruz lost to Hillary in 2016. Do you think Republicans wouldn't have gone with this in 2020? You don't think they would have wised up and eventually just gone, oh, we could actually win elections as long as we like get more racist, more out there with it, more openly corrupt? The trajectory was already, but who would be? It doesn't matter. Maybe Ted Cruz would have been that guy. Maybe they would have shifted rhetoric. It literally doesn't matter. None of these people believe anything. The trajectory already existed, okay? That's the historical trajectory for World War II and everything that happened in it, or at least a lot of what happened in it, already was in place. All of the pre-existing inertia was moving in this direction, okay? That's why we talk about Napoleon, because this, what's on screen right now, this was not inertially predictable. Nobody during the French Revolution would have gone like, yeah, do you think like one guy is basically going to conquer the whole world in like no time at all? And then get fucked up in Russia? Do you think that like in no time at all, like just one guy? Like there was no inertia towards that. Nobody predicted it. There wasn't any historical moment. Well, not much historical momentum towards it. That's the point. Europe had issues at the time. Everywhere has issues all the time. Trump is unique because of his personality, his TV showmanship, which has not been found in America before. Oh my God. Oh, you people are, you can't, come on, man. Sometimes I wish I didn't have the chat on screen so that when I make points, I can pretend that my audience is full of people who are kind of on board with the shit that I'm saying and not people who got trained in debate rhetoric to be contrary. Sometimes you just have to nod and pretend you understand is all I'm saying. You can't do this, okay? You can't do this to me. You can't do this to me. You think some people can overcome material conditions? What do you mean Napoleon overcame the historical trajectory? Okay, in 2016, okay, this is the last thing I'm saying, then we're moving the on, okay? In 2016, before Trump was the primary winner for the Republicans, the presidential primary winner, okay? The Republicans were largely neocon, but heavily influenced by the Tea Party. That being said, there were strong nativist sentiments, okay? They were quite racist. They were very self-righteous. A lot of them were animated by embarrassment that they'd been led by a black man for 8 years. But economically, they were still neocons. Foreign policy-wise, they were still neocons. What Trump did was offer them a more more rhetorically effective package for a set of beliefs they already had. Trump has not been that different to Republicans before. He just hasn't. He's cut taxes for the wealthy. He's made life harder for poor people. He's racist. He's xenophobic. He's anti-immigrant. He's turned a lot of these things up to 11, but he hasn't really changed the thinking of the party. He's changed the rhetoric of the party. The party shifted over to his rhetoric because it wins elections, but it hasn't really changed how they govern, not meaningfully. Look at them. They're still cheering for the bombing of Iran. Nothing's changed, okay? So Trump gave them a more rhetorically effective package. How did that happen? Well, he was loud and argumentative and people liked him, right? But if Trump's rhetoric had not been more effective, but fundamentally the same as Republicans, he wouldn't have won the primary and he wouldn't have won the presidency. And that would have been that. Just another failed presidential run. He'd done it before, okay? A better example, if Trump was truly a great man, you see all of these trends within the Republican Party. A better example would be Trump running as a Republican, but as a, like, FDR or like an Eisenhower style Republican. America's strong, but we need to be like a beacon on the hill. We need to drop the racism. Okay, listen, Eisenhower was racist as well, but like follow through with me here, okay? America needs to be the shining city on the hill. American conservatism needs to return to its roots. Be like critical of corruption, of military industrial contract relations. We need to get back to like governance at the root, governance of the people. We need to bring it all back. We need to be like, we need to go way the back on capitalism. Reagan was wrong, okay? We need to bring capitalism back to a point where it's human and understandable. Like trying to rescind conservatism back to where it existed in the 1950s, at least in economic issues, okay? Now, there is no trend towards this in the Republican Party. If anything, it's moved in the opposite direction, right? Right now, all the big Republican Party donors are like billionaires. Palantir is like deeply rooted in the government. So the idea of a Republican coming around and saying, no, we're backtracking on everything, we're going to go in the opposite direction is unthinkable. But if Trump had done that and then won the presidency and single-handedly, by way of being that charismatic, wrenched the entire party and pulled it in the other direction, and then you have Republicans economically running to the left of Democrats, that would be great man. Because he's not just taking advantage of an existing historical trend. He's not just looking at existing material forces and riding that wave, maybe altering it or taking advantage of it. Instead, he would have been redirecting the flow of history. That is what I am talking about. Very, 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 very few people have redirected the flow of history, taking existing inertia and shifting it entirely. Spaceman, you don't understand what I'm talking about, and your need to be contrarian betrays your, with respect, floundering character and wilting intellect in the face of my own. Thank you. Historical materialism and great man theory don't compete with one another, because the historical materialism accounts for the fact that sometimes people are in fact goaded with the sauce. It doesn't mean there aren't material forces at play. It means they're goaded with the sauce. Marx wrote about people being goaded with the sauce. Vaush, Hitler's ability to create a political program and gain support through propaganda and rhetoric was his originality. No, it wasn't. He copied that off Mussolini. No, he didn't. No, this is not true. His ability to use propaganda, everyone did that. Okay, so is Elon some sort of anti-great man because he's single-handedly changing history, but through failure and stupidity? I'm gonna lose it. Oh my God. It's not about changing it. Everyone changes history, you retards. It came for free with existing in the current, okay? Every fish that swims in the school changes the waters around them, okay? It's not about changing history. It's about taking the existing inertia of history and bending a different direction. Do you think Elon created the trend of Silicon Valley billionaires having a disproportionate influence over politics? You think the existing trend was like, oh yeah, no one would ever do that. There was no collaboration between Silicon Valley, big tech, and the White House, and then Elon single-handedly wrenched that in the other direction? Or do you think he merely rode the wave? Think! Jesus, this has been exhausting. This is why I'm not even that upset about the country being torn apart anymore, because at least then I'll be rid of it. Like when the internet goes down and I'm doing subsistence farming, waking up 3 times, I sleep 6 hours a day, 2-hour segments intermittent. I'm milking cows. I'm tilling barren fields, and at least I'm thinking, at least everyone in my immediate vicinity isn't purposefully misunderstanding me for the sake of baiting a response from chat. I disagree with your take on Napoleon as well. I don't care. Watch me just ban you. You come back in an hour, piece of shit, typing up at me. I don't care. That's what I think of your disagreement. You think this is a debate? You're in class. Give me money. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. No, I hope this has been enlightening to some people. You people are insane. Yeah, that's true. Jeez, Vaush, I've been following your stream for a while. Your patronizing rants are getting a bit too much. Ban me. I don't care, but sheesh. Hold on. Been here since the beginning of 2024. Do you think they just like missed all the streams? Do you like it's a luck thing? You know what I mean? Like they tuned in on all the the 5 streams where I don't do this. Dude, it's so hot today. Please don't be mean to me. I'm still not 100% on this topic, but what I'm getting is historical significance isn't enough. You are correct in that. You have to just it's all in a VOD, okay? You can rewatch it. Get some popcorn. You'll get it. Napoleon was not relatively good for Jews. He was the best man for Jews in history. Incorrect, because Mamdani's been born, but I understand the point. Thank you. Your name is Bonaparte. Oh, you're like really pro-Napoleon. Okay, but Napoleon was like a bad guy. I mean, I respect him for liking that stank because it's human, but isn't that what killed him? Please explain why FDR, a charismatic, popular figure that single-handedly shifted the Democratic Party to the left, wouldn't qualify. Because he didn't. He took advantage of existing anti-capitalist sentiment that the banks had failed people, sentiment that the government wasn't doing enough for the people. He didn't create any of that. It all existed. He was just the guy who was charismatic enough to take advantage of it. Do you think Bernie Sanders created the sentiment that that he sort of propagated in 2016? Or do you think that like He just took advantage of the increasing disillusionment with neoliberalism in a presidential run, and that was like an onboarding point for a lot of people. You're right, FDR and the New Deal was only possible because of the Great Depression. Without it, the country would not have voted for him and his platform. The same economic conditions that put Hitler into office are what put FDR into office. Exactly. FDR would be a great man if America... FDR would be a great man if America was in the 1950s, and then FDR did what he did. Like, if America was experiencing an unprecedented boom of prosperity and industry, and then somehow, despite that boom, FDR created a massive wave of, like, anti-bank, anti-capitalist, pro-government intervention sentiment, and then did the New Deal on top of that. Like, nobody was thinking it, and then FDR stepped in, and he was like, yeah, actually, no, we're taking this to the left. Yeah, reversing the course of destiny. Bernie's a perfect example to prove Vaush's point. Bernie was saying what he did decade after decade, that finally the conditions were finally correct, and he exploded in popularity. Exactly. Bernie'd been around saying the same shit for decades and decades, yeah. But then, like, only, oh, you're telling me after disillusionment from Obama's neoliberal, like, failure to deliver on his promises, then you see, like, a big shift in support for what Bernie has to say? The thing that changed wasn't the man. Bernie was the same that whole time, except, like, he got older and stuff. It was the historical, the material circumstances. Where do figures like Jesus fall into this? No one cares. So without the charisma of FDR, the anti-capitalist sentiment would have come to fruition. I don't know, Coconut, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, you're just wrong on that. I don't know, like, your problem, because you're not arguing with me, okay? You're arguing with yourself. Your problem is that you like FDR, and what I'm saying is that FDR isn't special. But what you are doing right now is fundamentally, like, materialist. Like, you're engaging in you're betraying Marx, basically, and I mean that sincerely, okay? Like, you're engaging in, like, the fetishism of a figure, and it's depriving you of your ability to understand FDR in context. Do you think I'm, like, talking Mamdani or Bernie Sanders when I say the man stayed the same? The historical sentiment they rode on was what defined their emergence. There have been people like Mamdani in New York City for well over 100 years. Bernie Sanders is like 100 years old. It was the material forces that underlined that supported them, that allowed their emergence. The same is the case with FDR. There were tons of socialists and social democrats in America at that time. The undercurrent, the disillusionment, the dissatisfaction, the anger at Hoover, the anger at the banks, the anger at capitalism, all of that existed. FDR was just a very competent leader who drew it out and took advantage of it, you know? But that doesn't mean he shifted the current of history. It just means that he did well writing it. Julius Caesar being a good example. Probably, yeah. Would Charlemagne count? I have no idea. I don't know why you won't put FDR up there. Like, he was a massive figure. Look up what he did. You think that it's like how good a guy was. It's not up there. It's not a being up there. That's not the measurement. Get me out of here. Didn't I say we'd end this a while ago? But I always say that, then I never do. So it's kind of my fault, right? I can't really blame other people for that. Any modern examples to help chat then? Modern great men. I think it's more and more difficult to be a great man in a world, the more complicated the world gets, the harder it is to be the guy that takes the current and pulls it. The current is larger than ever before. There's more money, there's more people in the world, there's more everything in the world. So it's more difficult now than before. Like, we talk about ancient Rome, but how big was Rome when Caesar was around, right? Like, what, few 100,000 people? The city, I mean. You know, you cross the Rubicon. Okay, what are you leading? Like 5 guys? Nowadays, even shit-ass states like North Korea have bigger armies than Rome was ever able to field. It's just difficult to imagine the ability to, like, move, not literally 5 dudes. Yeah, like 10 dudes, okay? Might be Xi Jinping. Absolutely not. Not even close. I can't think. I'd argue Steve Jobs. No, you're just thinking of important people. No, I don't think so. I think that's a better answer than a lot of people, though. Than what a lot of people are offering, I guess.